What up, everybody? How's it going? This is Pilar's Corner, and we talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And that was very aggressive. I apologize. um, we are in a place right now, mentally, I have to say, where I've been leading up to this moment for a while, which is recording this fucking episode. And if you're watching, you can see I have a hoodie on and I have like a this is a robe. Okay, this is a robe. I'm feeling cozy. Here we are embracing the moment. So, hi, if you haven't joined me before, I have a very weird brain in the things that I like, things that I'm interested in, but it all really comes down to like how we make decisions, what influences us, and trying to unravel the bottom mystery, which is like, who are we? What makes us tick? Why do we make the decisions that we make? And really turning over every stone to understand ourselves better. With that being said, I am into woo woo. I'm not just into woo woo, I'm like a multidimensional seer. So unpack that. But I don't use it all the time. I don't like to use it all the time, honestly. Like, I don't. It's too much. And I know people like to emphasize the we are souls living a human experience and all of that. Yes, that is true. But guess what? We're living a human experience. And so I take that to heart. I am, that's a gift. It's a gift. We have free will, we have physical beings, and we're moving through this divine experience of like push and pull and action and inaction and all those things and trying to figure out the mystery that is ourselves. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want to sit still through it. I don't want to just wish for ascension and just whisk me off into some UFO whatever. I'm like, I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the fucking ride. Um, and so yeah. So if any of this resonates with you, then oh my God, hi. We should be best friends. Um, and yeah, so I am by trade, I'm a personal and professional coach. I work with, you can call me a life coach, whatever, but I just like to help people be more successful with themselves in whatever that way looks like for them as they navigate transitions and difficult situations and relationships and all that stuff. But yes, I am a multidimensional seer, and I can tell you a lot about yourself and your experience and what it is that you're going through, and why you're going through it, and how it affects all the other things. With that being said, I'm not a full time psychic because you can only answer the question, "Is my boyfriend going to propose to me?" so many times. The answer is never. Your boyfriend is never going to propose to you, which may not be true, but if you're asking, then he's probably not. Okay, so moving on. I'm really excited because I want to try this thing. I'm always interested in kind of like what's going on astrologically for the month. And there's always a lot. Astrology is a lot. It's like a freaking lot. And mind you, I am a pro when it comes to astrology. I am not a master. I am not a master, but I am a damn good pro. With that being said, I've had readings by masters and they are just talking a completely foreign language to me. And I'm like, okay. So, because it's just so much, it's just so much, and it's very interesting. So, what I'm going to do is because I can never pick one thing, I'm just going to kind of like let the spirit guide me, as they say, and I'm going to do like first impressions, essentially, of what's going on in January, what stands out to me, and yeah, we're having a little fun with that. So, first things first. If you're watching this in 2026, happy 2026. Happy 2026. Super exciting. It's a new year. And in numerology, they're saying it's the year 1. And it's actually a year 10. Obviously, you reduce that down to 1, but 10 is a pretty significant number. 10 is a pretty significant number. So, that's pretty important. I like to think of the numerology, like whenever, especially like angel numbers or when that kind of stuff comes up, I always like to think of, a good rule of thumb when you're trying to figure out what an angel number means or what a number that's popping up for you or what a combination of numbers means. I try to use the rule of thumb first and then go through your own journey of figuring out what that particular set of numbers means for you. Okay. Very important that you do your own work to understand what things mean in their own nuance to you because it's your journey. And you can find support in others, but ultimately it's you, boo. It's all you. So the cycle of any event, really, 1 to 10. And you can see this as well in tarot, like in the major arcana. You can see the progression of like the life experience, the progression and cycle of any event through the lens of 1 through 10, right? Or 1 through 0. Okay. Now, or right, 1 through 9, depending on what you're being exposed to. 1 is the idea, right? It's the brand newness. It is open waters. It is blue sky. That's the 1. It's whatever you want, whatever you desire, whatever your idea is. Let it plant it, right? See where it goes. Investigate it. It's where all successes and events and experiences start. So 1, very beginning, brand new. And then, the 2 is like you have to make choices. You have to create balance, right? You have to make choices, one thing or the other. 3 is like alignment. It's usually like the sense of divine alignment around 3. It's like, yes, it's happening, right? Triangulation, right, around the central theme. 4, protection. 4 is great. 4 is like, you are here. You are now. For me, 4 is, you can see my 4 is on my, tattooed on my hand. 4 is like divine protection. Okay. And just like, you've got this. Like, set in, commit. That's 4s. For me, I have my other reasons for 4, but for the sake of this, I'm letting you guys know what that also entails. 5 is the midway point. 5 is known as the number of transformation, okay, and change. This is where things can change. This is where you have an opportunity to change your mind. Most plans change. Most relationships don't find marriage, right? Most jobs aren't the forever job. And that's because there's change in all things, right? There's change in all things. Even in commitments, there are change. So 5 is the point of change. It's like something is going to shift, right? 6 is, there's been like different interpretations of 6. Obviously, like 666 is the devil, but whatever. 6 is more like, so if threes is triangulation around a central theme and alignment, 6 is like double triangulation around and alignment. Okay, you can kind of think of it that way. Another another interpretation of 6 is also like um extrinsic, right? There's intrinsic, there's a self, and then there's extrinsic. So you're also shifting into the outward, um, you know, everything in terms of like how something is happening can be very all internal, but truly events, like life happens at the level of events. So you can think a lot, you can dream a lot, but that's not going to write a book, right? That's not going to create a dance choreography. That's not going to help you meet somebody, right? You're not going to actually meet somebody just by thinking about it. You still have to do. And so that's why 1 through 5 is also the more intrinsic experience, while the 5 through 10 is more about the extrinsic, the external, the visual, the visible, and sort of above skin almost, right? So 6 can also kind of be like the coming out, right? There's almost like more visibility. Okay. 7 is also about divine alignment. It's also seen as like luck. Okay. It's also seen as opportunity. Um, and it's where you definitely want to be paying attention and keeping momentum. Okay. 8, infinity, right? Sometimes it can feel like this shit's taking forever, right? Sometimes it can feel like this is taking forever. It can also be like serenity, right? It can feel like it's happening. This is happening, right? Like it's almost like a climax. It can feel like you wish that this could last forever, right? And then there's 9. And 9 is essentially a conclusion or a coming to a conclusion. And then you get to 0. So if you're talking about like, visual numbers, 0, 1, 0, 0 is clean slate. 0 can almost be seen as like the new moon, right? There's absolutely 0 light and there's not even a sliver. It's just absolute, it's the black moon. Okay. There's nothing. The slate is wiped clean. So that's another way to um, look at it. Now, when we going back to 2026, okay, being a year 10, okay, a year 10, and not just a year 0, right? We could be a year 1, but more specifically, it is a year 10. So when we think of it along these terms, it's like an epic conclusion. It can feel like an epic conclusion. A lot of healing, a lot of sort of like almost metaphorical ascension of the self-knowing, self-understanding. Maybe there's peace in that. Maybe there's a jumping off point that is extended to the self in order to create more impact. Yeah. So just looking at that, that's something to keep in mind for 2026 is that it is a year 10. It's a year 1. So it does feel like it's an epic conclusion and an epic beginning. Okay. An epic beginning of the self, which is, that was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Okay. So now I'm looking at, let me just share the screen with you. Okay, cool. So I've got this popped open. I'm just looking at it, So first of all, we're in Capricorn season. Okay. And you can see, I'm making sure you can see my mouse, but you can see what you Sun enters Aquarius, January 20th. Okay. So right now we're in Capricorn season, and in January 20th, we move to Aquarius. Whenever we're in the seasons, astrological seasons, the question is like, it may not be your sign, but it is nice to remember, what is this sign teaching us, right? And Capricorn is a sign that ultimately, I could say wants order. I could say wants accountability, wants structure. But really, Capricorn wants deep, meaningful progress. Okay. Meaningful progress. The end goal for the Capricorn is vocational purity. So, whatever it is that you are good at is what you excel at and is what you're passionate about, right? That there's like this divine trinity, talk about trinity and alignment around this thing that you do, and that you do it exceptionally well. So, which makes sense. We're at the end of the year, and the end of the year, what are we thinking? We're thinking about like, how do we want to do better for the next year? We're thinking more about purpose. We're thinking more about productivity. We're thinking more about all these sort of concepts that are much about development, right? And worth, essentially. We want things that we create and produce and be a part of to be of value. So we put a lot of emphasis on the end of the year. We put a lot of emphasis on the end of the year because of that. And it's really just completely and totally up to us to make that happen. Now, what's interesting, right, is we get into planning mode, Capricorn season, Aquarius, happening January 20th. But Aquarius energy is rebel with a cause. So you're thinking outside of the box. You're getting excited about what you're learning along in the process, what works, what doesn't work. Maybe you're breaking the rules, but you're learning more in the process, right? And you're being more adventurous about what exactly it is that means. Um, okay, so just looking here. So we've got January 1st, we got Mercury entering Capricorn. Okay. So that tells me that, Mercury is the planet of communication, and communication, not just like, talking back and forth or technologies. I like to say it's data, right? It's the planet of data. It's entering Capricorn. So things are going to get very mm, very clear, very to the point, maybe. Maybe there's just going to be this energy of like, how do I make the biggest impact with the least amount of words, right? How do I create efficiency? Okay, efficiency in data sharing, whatever that looks like. But efficiency is going to be a key theme here. Chiron goes direct. Chiron's been in retrograde. Jesus, Chiron's been in retrograde forever. And it's in Aries. Okay. It's been in retro. Oh my God. Freaking finally. I think my Chiron's in Aries, actually. So it's nice that it's going to go direct. Chiron is like the healing comet. Okay. And so Aries energy being about leadership, taking the helm, taking risks, um, for, risk for value, right? Hopefully, right? But there's a lot there. It's very loaded. And so it's been in retrograde. Retrograde is basically like we are reliving, remembering, we are revisiting and reflecting. So, a lot of that in terms of like the power of healing, the power of leading in our own healing, the power in connecting with that fire of what it is that we need to heal, right? Now it's going direct, right? So now it's like, okay, you've done all this sort of painful digging, and now it's finally going direct. So now it's like, how do you now own that, harness it? Um, can think of retrograde in Aries with Chiron was kind of like a wild horse and just this really tumultuous sort of experience of trying to build a relationship with this horse and learn about this horse. And you're connected. This horse is majestic. It's beautiful and you can't get away from it. You can't pull yourself away. And finally, you learn how to develop a relationship, right? And you create meaningful um, knowledge and connection around that relationship. And then Chiron going direct is like, okay, I feel like we can build on something now. This doesn't feel like complete, um, chaos. Full moon in Cancer. Always love a good full moon in Cancer. Full moon in Cancer, January 3rd. So I love this at the beginning. The beginning of the year is pretty crazy, y'all. Full moon in Cancer, we're talking about lots of feelings. Be aware, especially with full moon in Cancer, at the same time that Mercury enters Capricorn, there may be a lot of like push and pull around how do I communicate in the most efficient way possible without completely overexposing myself? But at the same time, I want to be completely honest with exactly how I feel, right? So there's a lot there. Full moon's always like kind of peak energy, peak exposure. Okay. And then Cancer is just how do I accept the fact that I am a feeling being, that I have feelings? All right, then we've got the conjunctions. So this is cool because conjunctions are very positive. So we got Sun conjunction Venus, Venus conjunction Mars, Sun conjunction Mars. So you've already got this kind of trinity of cool shit happening here and all Capricorn, right? Capricorn related. So, I mean, we're looking at I just feel like there's like a lot of positive energy and a lot of forward movement around how we are presenting ourselves, how we are accessing the tools that we have. Venus is about balance. Mars is about negotiation. It's about communication. Okay, Mars is more to me. Mars is more communication than um, say Mercury. Mercury is just data. Okay, and how we interpret data. Mars is how we how do we interact one between the other. Think of Mars as like fiery and war and draw, but that's because it's a max peak crazy. Mars is this energy of like, you know, not being able to have a negotiation, right? Like a breakdown in negotiation. So I feel like all of this Sun, Venus, Mars conjunction is like there's going to be very positive conversations, lots of movement, maybe difficult, but productive, right? Like when you can have difficult, productive conversations, I feel like everything's going to be, you know, nothing's going to be left on the table. Like it's just going to be like full exposure. Like, how do we do our best by having the best, most productive conversations? And then Venus relationships, right? We talk about Venus being relationships, about finding balance within ourselves. And so that just feels like there's going to be a lot of productive um, negotiations and that you're going to feel are true to yourself, right? So speaking about sun and self. And now we're looking at Venus enters Aquarius, which is great. Also, rebel with a cause. So, really looking to understand like, how can we do things better? How can we do things better, right? Venus entering Aquarius, relationships. How can we do better? How can we create, um, how do we not just get comfortable, but how do we create comfort in our growth, right? How do we promote growth and create comfortability in that growth, right? And not just be comfortable as in placated and dormant. Mercury conjunction Mars, January 18th here. And I do apologize. I wasn't really saying like what days these are happening. So Sun conjunction Venus is happening January 6th. Venus conjunction Mars, January 8th. Sun conjunction Mars, January 9th. So all those like conjunctions, like Sun conjunction Venus, Venus conjunction Mars, Sun conjunction Mars, I just think of that because they're all connecting to each other, right? January 6th to January 9th, that week is going to be, and I think January 5th is a Monday. Okay, January 5th is a Monday. So that Tuesday, and I'm assuming to that, I want to say Friday, Saturday, that week is just going to be like, it's going to feel like productive. It's going to feel like, okay, got things going on, lots of productive conversations. Let's make movement. This is tough, but this is meaningful. This is how it should be. Um, let's see here, which is going to be good because it's after that full moon was in Cancer on January 3rd. So you maybe feel like a lot of emotions, but maybe that brings you into a very, very, very clear space. Okay, January 17th, Venus enters Aquarius. We were talking about that. So it's like more than a week later, right? So January 17th, after all that fun conjunction stuff, Venus entering Aquarius, January 17th, um, Venus enters Aquarius. So you're really going to be thinking, maybe, you know what? Oh, maybe it's time to start new habits within your relationship or creating new relationships or figuring out how to do better within your existing relationships. Um, but ultimately, you're going to be like, you know what? I just want to try on different for SIs. That doesn't necessarily mean different people, but maybe just like how you conduct yourself in the relationship. Obviously, for better, for better. January 18th, the day right after, we got Mercury conjunction Mars. Conjunction's a good thing. I don't know if I said that earlier, but it is a good thing. Mercury conjunction Mars. Hey, so that's fun. Mercury conjunction Mars is telling me, uh, we're just talking about communication and data, right? These are going to be, this is that if you're trying to have difficult conversations, if you've got to negotiate, if you've got to um, be in a place of vulnerability around a given subject and you have to share or communicate or be transparent around that or present, right? Wonderful, wonderful energy because you ultimately, when it comes to any exchange, you want it to feel dynamic, real, right? You want to be honest. You want to feel like there's authenticity and transparency, and therefore it is then meaningful, right? And you can't predict what is going to happen in a conversation. You can only come as you are, know who you are, know your stance, how you feel about something, and then do your best in the conversation to communicate and to ultimately share, right? So January 18th, that week, amazing. And then you have a new moon in Capricorn that same day. Wow. So that new moon in Capricorn is telling me that really, it's like almost like, okay, clean slate. Where are we at? Very interesting energy. Because that Capricorn, of course, wants productivity, wants meaningful productivity, wants to feel like action has meaning and action nets productivity. Let's see here, January 20th. We've got 3 events happening on January 20th. We have the Sun entering Aquarius, which we talked about, rebel with a cause. We have Venus conjunct Pluto's. We've got so many conjunctions, you guys, in January. We have so many conjunctions happening in January. January is a great month. Oh my goodness. Anything you want to get done or you want to do and you're scared, January is the freaking month to do it. Holy Moses. Okay, so we have Sun entering Aquarius. Venus conjunct Pluto tells me that, that relationship planet, that balance planet, and this isn't just relationships like romantic relationships. This is also the relationships we have with things, with ourselves, with friends, right? Is conjunction with Pluto. You can think of Pluto as the planet of power, okay? And how power shifts and changes. Pluto is a very powerful, well, I could call it a planet. It's technically not a planet, right? But earth or heavenly body, we'll say. So that says that there's an opportunity for leveraging power in relationships, and how they can either lift us up, okay, how we can lift them up, and through that feel good about ourselves and feel like, purpose in that, which is a very Aquarian energy. If you meet any Aquarius or somebody who has strong Aquarius in their chart, they've always got friends from like all different walks of life. So cool. It's so cool. All different walks of life. They have a party, you're like gonna meet all different kinds of people, and it's gonna be super cool. Personally, and this is absolutely just an anecdote, do not take this to heart, but um every Aquarian I've ever met has very cool shoes. I don't know what that is, but they have a very great sense of style. I love it. Um, just very fun shoes. Very like that totally vanilla outfit and just like crazy wacky shoes. I love it. So anyways, so right, Venus conjunct Pluto, then Mercury enters Aquarius. So talking about like this heavy Aquarian energy that's happening. It happens all over the board here. Let me just, jump a little bit all over the place. We've got January 20th, Sun enters Aquarius. Also January 20th, Mercury enters Aquarius. Okay, both to the 0 degree, which means like at the they're both starting at the very same spot, which is very cool. It tells me that Aquarius and Mercury are making a big presence energetically in your life, which is really just saying, like, asking you how to think about things differently. And as it comes to data, maybe how you produce data, how you produce information in your life, how you look for information in your life, how you share information in your life, right? Could be how you interact with it, maybe through phones, through your computer, like through a newspaper, however it is. But all of that it's going to be making a very cool presence in your life. And then continuing on with Aquarius, and then January 23rd, you also have Mars entering Aquarius. Okay, so only 3 days later. And we have this theme. This theme is happening. Mars, Mercury, and Venus are having a heyday in January. So really understanding that like relationships there's opportunity. We're going to say opportunity because there's this saying, luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. So being prepared is now what we're doing and what you've been doing in December in Capricorn season, just kind of preparing, thinking ahead. How can I do better? What is it that I want to do better? How do I want my 2026 to look? How do I feel about my 2025, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Some people feel like I didn't plan anything for 2026. It's okay, right? We all go through our own process, and sometimes it's a very silent sort of just decompressing needs to happen first. But, okay, January is going to hit, and it's going to be that time of like relationships, information, okay, and communication. Relationships, information, communication. However, these are influencing in your life, January, there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of movement because you're going to have a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities. It's going to be up to you to, you know, tackle those opportunities. It's going to be up to you to see those opportunities as they're entering into your mainframe and go, what do I want to do with this? What do I want to do with this energy? Right? Someone's talking to me about this. Do I want to engage? Do I not want to engage? Right? What are my goals and what do I want to be achieving? And does this play into that? And maybe it does. Maybe it does. Right? Very, 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 very cool. Major things here, and I'm just going to kind of skip to my loo. What else we've got? Sun conjunct Pluto. Ooh, that's a big one. I don't know why. That's oof. I'm getting a big hit over here. Sun conjunct Pluto and Neptune entering Aries. Also a very big deal. So Sun, the self, conjunct is playing well, right? Really nice, just enhances each other. It's just a beautiful dance. Sun conjunct Pluto, Pluto being power. So end of January is a great opportunity to really be feeling in your power, really be feeling like I am full of resources. I'm full of energy. I am full of, I got this. Okay. And then Neptune entering Aries. Aries is a leader. Okay. Aries is, is face. Aries is all face. And Neptune, okay. Neptune is the most extreme version of the intrinsic self. In fact, the sign that rules Neptune is Pisces. So you've got Aries, which is the beginning of the zodiac, in the planet that is ruled by the end of the zodiac. Again, we're seeing beginning and ending, right? Beginning and ending, beginning and ending. It's a year 10, also a year 1, epic conclusion, epic beginning, right? So this is where the internal and the external are going to be feeding into and balancing each other. Very, very important. It's telling us that it's time for how we feel and how we think to be reflected in the external self. Okay? Very, very important. And again, Sun conjunct Pluto. That's, again, that power in that self, finding power in self, accessing that power in self. The energy is going to be there, right? The energy is going to be there. Will you be prepared to accept it? Okay, that's the opportunity. And then the last two major events that we have happening in January 27th, January 29th, we've got Mars playing nice and dancing with Pluto. We've got conjunction. Again, Mars, that communication, negotiation, right? So we've got really positive power negotiations, right? Again, either you're negotiating with yourself, you're negotiating with others, you're negotiating with father time, whatever it is that you're negotiating, you're able to create hmm, 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 movement, right? Mercury conjunction Venus. So conjunction playing nice, dancing with Venus, Mercury conjunction Venus. So that is saying Mercury data, information planet, playing nice with Venus, relationships. Huh. And more information coming to light, learning more about your relationships, feeling like you have more information, you have more at your disposal to understand and look through and make educated decisions around. Okay. So that's all we got. That's pretty cool. January, you guys, January is a very intense month for progress. January is going to be epic conclusion, epic beginning. And that's how 2026 is going to start. So whatever needs to end, whatever you need to negotiate out of your life, you're going to have all the tools that you need in order to make that happen. It's really going to be up to you, though, to be meeting that moment prepared. That's up to you. And luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. So understand more about how do you feel about 2025. You can even just start there, right? Take a break, decompress. Maybe while you're decompressing, you can touch on what are ways I would describe 2025, right? And if that's how I feel about 2025, what kind of mindset does that put me in for 2026? Just start there. Just start there because January of 2026 is going to be, if you are ready, there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for you to feel empowered, for you to feel movement, for you to feel like, I've got this. I've got this. I'm actually doing the thing. I'm doing more and I'm making movement. Nice, right? Nice. So there you go. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you like this, awesome. Like it, share it, and we'll do more. I do like the, month at a glance, if you will, month at a glance. It gives us a chance to maybe not do terrible deep dives because there's a lot of deep dives we could be doing. But, it gives us an opportunity to sit in the energy of the month and prepare for it. So I hope you guys like that. And then throughout the month, I'll be doing more interviews, hanging out with lovely people like yourself, talking about how we get through this thing called life and exploring more about ourselves and doing better on our journey, which sometimes means not doing better and then doing better later. So I hope you guys enjoy that. And then we'll also be, again, doing tarot readings throughout the month, and just giving you some support along the way in this very cool, very crazy thing called life. All right. I love you. You are amazing. You are already perfect. And you got this. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.